According to Maritime services, one of the most common reasons for serious accidents at sea is storms. Even the biggest ships can't withstand the extreme forces of nature. So, it raises the question, why did they allow the Spanish ship named Luna to head out to sea off the coast of France when wind gusts were reaching 60 miles per hour that day? The ship ended up struggling against the rocks and eventually split in half. With the help of the Air Force, 11 people were rescued, and thankfully, no one was injured. However, the crew members will never forget that journey. The MTS Oceanus cruise ship, launched in 1952, was 152 meters long and could hold 550 passengers. Its final journey was in 1991 near the South African coast when it encountered very rough seas. Waves continuously hit the ship, damaging its structure and allowing water to flood in. One night at 9:30, an explosion occurred, and all power was lost. By the next morning, the ship was tilting on its side. Although the passengers weren't informed of the situation, the entertainers organized the evacuation after the captain and crew abandoned the ship. The South African government and various boats helped rescue all the passengers. The next day, the ship was completely capsized, and the incident was recorded on video. The captain and crew were found guilty of negligence for leaving the ship, reinforcing the belief that a captain should either go down with the ship or be the last to leave. Sometimes, there's nothing wrong with the boat itself. The problem lies with the people in charge of it, as seen in this unfortunate event. Those responsible for lowering this boat into the harbor really botched the job. As they were gently lowering the boat, they suddenly dropped it. Dropping a small boat from a height can lead to serious damage, and in this case, the boat flipped over and sank spectacularly, surely ruining someone's day. On April 2nd, 2015, a devastating building collapse occurred at Argyle High School in Argyle, Texas. The structure that collapsed was a new indoor practice facility still under construction. Unfortunately, the collapse resulted in the death of a construction worker, Julio Ledesma, and injuries to 3 others. Surveillance footage, captured from 4 different angles, shows the metal frame of the building suddenly giving way and crashing to the ground. Notably, there were strong winds on the day of the incident, which can be seen affecting the trees in the video's background, suggesting that these conditions might have contributed to the structural failure. The facility was being built as part of a substantial $45 million bond project aimed at enhancing the school's athletic facilities. After the collapse, all construction was stopped until a safety audit could be conducted. This event also prompted a closer examination of other projects undertaken by North Star Builders, the construction company in charge of the project. On August 14, 2018, the Morandi Bridge in Genoa, Italy, collapsed during a heavy rainstorm, killing 43 people.
Oddio! 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 Oddio!
This incident drew widespread attention to the condition of Italy's infrastructure. A 210-meter section of the bridge fell, causing many vehicles to drop 45 meters into a dry riverbed below. Known as the Polcevera Viaduct, this bridge was crucial for connecting northern Italy to France and was part of the A10 motorway. Built from 1963 to 1967, the bridge had been known to have problems for years, including rusting steel cables and poor maintenance, which played roles in its collapse. Despite previous warnings and known issues, necessary repairs and strengthening were not properly carried out. After the collapse, the Italian government declared a state of emergency in the Liguria region. The incident also led to significant legal and political repercussions, with 59 individuals, including managers from Autostrade per l'Italia, the company responsible for maintaining the bridge, facing trial for charges such as manslaughter and compromising transport safety. Investigations showed that the companies involved had neglected essential maintenance to cut costs, even though they knew the bridge was in critical condition. On January 11, 2020, in Kerala, India, 2 upscale high-rise apartment buildings in Kochi were torn down for breaking environmental rules. This was part of one of India's biggest demolition operations involving residential buildings. The buildings were located next to a lake and were demolished by order of the Supreme Court of India because they were built too close to the water, violating laws meant to keep construction a certain distance from bodies of water like seas, rivers, and lakes. The Supreme Court found that these buildings did not comply with Coastal Regulation Zone (CRZ) norms, designed to safeguard sensitive coastal regions. The decision was intended to enforce environmental laws and discourage similar breaches in the future. The buildings were brought down using implosion, a technique that collapses them in seconds and caused a large dust cloud to spread about 200 meters. Nearly 2,000 people from nearby were moved to safety before this was done. The demolition was meticulously planned to ensure it was safe and to prevent harm to nearby nature and properties. In 2019, a passenger ship named KMP Virgo 18 collided with another ship, KMP Windu Karsa Dwitya, in the Sunda Strait, Indonesia. The crash was loud and caused significant damage. The accident is thought to have been caused by human error. The incident not only left a mark on the ships, but deeply affected the crew members, who were left to mourn the loss of a respected colleague. On May 29, 2017, in Kyiv, Ukraine, a dramatic event unfolded when an underground water pipe burst, leading to a massive explosion. The event, captured on CCTV, showed the ground-shaking moments before a violent eruption sent a high jet of water and debris soaring into the air, reportedly reaching the height of a 7-story building. This caused significant damage to nearby cars and buildings. Thankfully, there were no injuries reported. The incident occurred during a hydraulic test performed by Kyivmenergo, the local municipal utility company. The pipeline, which was 38 years old, had been in use well beyond its intended 25-year lifespan. The explosion resulted in a large, 64-foot crater and left the surrounding area covered in mud and debris. On March 7, 2022, severe thunderstorms hit Hurstville, New South Wales, causing ceiling panels to collapse and water to flood the aisles of a supermarket. The heavy rain overwhelmed the building's drainage systems, leading to significant water damage inside the store.
Oh, wow. I got it all on video, the rats.
Wow. That's bad, man. Oh my God, look at that, man. No worries, no worries. No worries.
The flooding prompted an immediate evacuation of the premises. Fortunately, there were no injuries reported, despite the considerable structural damage. This event was part of a series of severe weather incidents that affected New South Wales throughout the year. In 2022, the state saw multiple instances of flooding driven by intense rainfall and soils already saturated from previous storms. These floods led to widespread property damage, displaced thousands of residents, and necessitated major emergency and recovery operations. During a sudden storm and heavy rain on October 28, 2023, part of the ceiling at Mega Rise Mall in Taman Mega, Petaling Jaya, collapsed. The incident occurred around 3 p.m. and quickly captured public attention as videos and photos spread across social media. The mall's management is currently investigating the cause and has promised to take appropriate measures to prevent future incidents. 3 people were slightly injured because of the collapse. The affected area of the mall has been cordoned off, and the scheduled Halloween trick-or-treat event was canceled as a result. On April 26, 2021, in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, a crane tipped over and fell onto the roof of a house during a construction project where it was being used to lift steel beams. The accident occurred on Cartier Drive near Hawthorne Boulevard and resulted in significant damage to the single-story home.
I saw the crane kind of shaking a little bit, maybe because of the wind, I don't know, or out of balance. And then it just came crashing down in the middle of the house. And I was like, oh my God, I hope there's no one inside the house.
Remarkably, no injuries were reported despite people being inside the house at the time. Emergency services quickly responded to the scene to secure the area and evaluate the extent of the damage. An investigation into the incident was launched, focusing on how the crane was positioned and how the load was distributed at the time of the accident. While 4 workers were on a concrete roof, it unexpectedly collapsed beneath them. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the incident was certainly startling and shook everyone up. On Monday, March 19, 2018, 2 large container ships, Hapag-Lloyd Tolton and Hamburg Bay, collided in the port of Karachi, Pakistan. The collision was due to human errors and poor weather conditions. Fortunately, there were no casualties, which is the positive aspect of this incident. However, the downside was that at least 21 containers fell into the water as a result of the collision. This passenger ferry was almost finished with its journey when suddenly the main engine broke down and the electrical systems failed. Because of this, the ship couldn't slow down and stop in time. Now, both the ferry and the dock need repairs. Fortunately, this major malfunction didn't happen while they were far out at sea. Back in 2010, a Japanese whaleboat named Shonan Maru 2 collided with a trimaran called Adi Gil in Arctic waters. The Adi Gil, which was worth about $1.5 million, was designed for anti-whaling operations and equipped with blinding laser cannons. When the 2 vessels encountered each other, Shonan Maru 2 approached from behind, used water cannons to distract the crew, and then turned sharply to ram into the Adi Gil, causing significant damage. It was a chaotic scene, but fortunately, all the crew members were rescued. However, the boat was a total loss as it ended up sinking. So, 2 cranes were trying to launch a ship, but things didn't go as planned. I'm not sure exactly what calculations are needed to determine how much a crane can lift, but I assumed that the experts had it under control. One of the cranes was overloaded, wobbled for a bit, then tipped over and dropped the ship into the water. It's starting to seem like pushing the ship sideways down a ramp is a more reliable method for launching a ship. You know how it is? You're enjoying a peaceful evening walk by the river, watching kids play on scooters, and soaking up the summer night, when suddenly a huge cargo boat crashes into the riverbank. This happened in Shanghai on the Huangpu River and was caught on camera. The boat had already collided with another vessel before it lost control and headed toward the shore, where it crashed into the quay. Luckily, no one was hurt, either on the boat or on shore. This video shows a serious ship collision that resulted in 3 deaths. The tragedy occurred after an explosion on a tugboat carrying diesel canisters for refueling a larger vessel. You can see in the footage how quickly the tugboat sank within just a few seconds. Sadly, out of the 7 people on board, 3 did not survive. The St. John General Hospital, built in 1931 in St. John, New Brunswick, was like a beacon on a hill, but in this case, it was a hospital on a hill. It served the community until the 1980s, and in 1995, it was scheduled for demolition. The demolition needed to be carefully controlled because the surrounding areas couldn't be affected. Luckily, they managed to pull it off safely and securely. Interestingly, the hospital's dome survived the demolition. It was recovered from the debris and is now used as the roof of a gazebo in a small park near Garden Street in St. John. There's shocking video of a large cargo ship crashing directly into a historic mansion along the Bosphorus in Istanbul, Turkey. Obviously, in a collision between a massive ship and a small house, the ship is going to win. You'd hope nobody was inside the house because the ship really wrecked it. Fortunately, there was a group of partygoers nearby on another boat, capturing everything on their phones while holding drinks, so the whole event was recorded. The official explanation is that the cargo ship had a rudder malfunction, which made it uncontrollable and led it to crash into the 18th century mansion by the water. Thankfully, no one was injured, and not even a drink was spilled on the party boat during the incident. What a relief indeed. This old freighter, the 155 Quinta S, was sunk in 2014 near Mustang Island in the Gulf of Mexico as it approached its 40th year. Now resting in 75 feet of water, it serves as a habitat for marine life, rather than transporting crew and cargo. It's become the largest vessel incorporated into the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department's Artificial Reef Program since the Texas Clipper in 2006. The reef, part of a 169-acre site known as the Corpus Christi Nearshore Reef, includes 470 concrete pyramids and thousands of tons of concrete culverts. Launched in Japan in 1976, the Quinta S, though just an old rusty cargo ship with no historical significance, now thrives as an underwater ecosystem and a spot for scuba divers to explore. When a newly refurbished cargo ship was launched, it looked impressive and shiny, almost as if it was proud. The engineers and shipbuilders who had worked on the ship were there applauding as it set off. However, the ship quickly lost its confidence and unexpectedly leaned sharply to the starboard side and continued to tip over. This incident was a clear sign of a major miscalculation with the ship's ballast. Generally, when a ship tips over like this, it means it needs more ballast to sit correctly in the water. If a ship is too high in the water, it risks losing balance, which is not a good trait for any boat, regardless of its size. Sometimes, things can go really wrong, much worse than just splashing a local celebrity. For example, in 2014, a fancy $10 million yacht launch was a disaster. Everything was set for the launch. The champagne had been broken on its side, people were clapping, and the yacht was slowly being lowered down a ramp to the harbor. However, this method of launching such a large and tall yacht wasn't the best idea. The project manager had already expressed concerns about the yacht's high profile making it unstable during the launch. So it wasn't really a shock when the yacht tipped over as soon as it hit the water. The team spent the entire evening working to get the yacht back upright after this embarrassing start. Understanding the size of your vehicle is crucial, not only for car owners, but also for those piloting boats, especially large ones like container ships. This knowledge can help avoid accidents. For instance, the captain of the Rotterdam Bridge thought there was enough room for the ship to pass through, but it didn't work out as expected. Later, an investigation revealed that the ship was overloaded, causing several containers to fall into the water. It took over a day to tow the ship away. This video shows a cargo ship, the Xuanlong 818, flipping over and sinking in the Yangtze River in just minutes. It's so dramatic that without the footage, people might not believe it actually happened. The ship was docking while carrying 2,000 tons of cement to Chongqing when it struck rocks, causing it to roll onto its side and capsize almost instantly. All you could see afterward was the ship's overturned hull floating in the murky river water, with a huge hole torn in its underside. Despite the rapid unfolding of events, all 7 crew members were rescued and were unharmed. Here's another reason why it's important to make sure your calculations are correct before using cranes to lift boats. Although this should be standard practice, it seems not everyone gets it right. As the crane lifted a large boat over the dock, the situation became tense. Soon it was clear that things were going wrong, and both the boat and crane were in danger of ending up in the water. It was a far cry from an ideal situation. Hopefully, the crane operator managed to escape safely, because what started as a normal day turned into a disaster where a boat was dropped, a crane flipped, and everything ended up in the water quite dramatically. In 2017, a passenger ship named Jetliner crashed into an office building in Sulawesi, Indonesia. Video footage showed that the office was severely damaged by the crash. The ship itself wasn't too badly hurt, just a few dents and scratches. We hope the building can be repaired soon enough. This is what occurs when the person steering the ship isn't good at judging distances. Because of this incident, they'll need to add more lifeboats to the ship. The existing ones ended up being sacrificed to prevent even more severe damage to the ship. A news reporter was covering a boat launch at Lake Springfield, a routine event that usually goes smoothly. However, this time things didn't go as planned, and both the boat and the pickup truck ended up in the water, with the truck sinking completely in just seconds. It's going to take a lot to fix that truck. The ramp was slippery with algae, which often causes vehicles to slide around and sometimes end up in the water. This incident was particularly dramatic because the ramp had a very steep drop-off, so the truck really plunged deep into the lake. What a mess. The power station in Yorkshire, known as for UK, was part of a group of power stations that had been around for about 50 years. In 2021, they were all demolished by implosion within a year. People considered these power stations landmarks, so the decision to demolish them says something about the need for change. In a video of the demolition, you can see the stations being detonated almost simultaneously. For a moment, it looks like they might collapse on each other, but then they just fall straight down. Explosions like these can be strangely beautiful to watch. In 2007, a container ship named Excelsior capsized in the Rhine River, Germany, while trying to turn on March 25th. Around 32 containers fell into the river and drifted downstream. The accident was caused by the skippers failing to prepare a proper stowage plan for even load distribution, resulting in containers being loaded with heavier items on top and lighter ones at the bottom. Additionally, some containers were up to 5 tons heavier than documented in the loading papers. This incident likely caused delays for many people waiting for their packages. You don't need to be in the Coast Guard to notice that this ferry was moving too fast for the dock. It was bound to happen. The ferry made quite an entrance at the San Francisco dock, with 53 passengers on board. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt. Despite the situation, the onlookers seemed excited by the whole event, adding some thrill to their day. Sometimes, boats can have mechanical issues that lead to chaos. This happened to a whale-watching ship called Adventure Hornblower, which ended up in trouble when its throttle got stuck in the full-on position. It's like something out of a cartoon. The 150-foot-long ship was speeding towards San Diego's Embarcadero with no way to slow down. The crash injured several passengers, damaged the ship's hull, and caused significant damage to the dock and a brick walkway. Out of the 144 people on board, 7 were hurt enough to need hospital treatment for injuries to their neck, back, or legs, while the others were checked by medics at the dock and then allowed to leave. In situations like this, there's not much that can be done to stop a large, out-of-control boat until it hits something, and even then, it's tough to manage. The best the crew could do was tell everyone to hold on and brace for impact. Hopefully, they managed to see some whales that day despite the ordeal. Built in 1969, the Thunder was a notorious illegal fishing vessel that sank in 2015. At that time, Interpol identified it as one of the Bandit Six, a group known for unlawfully fishing for Patagonian toothfish in the Southern Ocean. The Thunder had several aliases, including Arctic Ranger, Typhoon 1, Cuckoo, and Wuhan N4, and was last registered in Lagos, Nigeria. Interestingly, it was officially removed from records just a week before it sank. The ship was chased for 110 days over a distance of 6,000 miles from Antarctic waters to São Tomé and Príncipe by 2 Sea Shepherd Conservation Society vessels, the Bob Barker and the Sam Simon, as part of Operation Icefish. On April 6, 2015, the Thunder sank under mysterious circumstances near the western coast of Africa after it stopped moving. The 30 Indonesian crew members and 10 officers from Spain, Chile, and Portugal put on life jackets, threw a ladder over the side, disembarked onto life rafts, and were rescued by the nearby Sea Shepherd ships. The sinking remains suspicious because typically every effort is made to keep a ship afloat, but the Thunder's doors and hatches were found tied open, and the fish hold was left ajar, suggesting it might have been scuttled intentionally. Whether it was sunk on purpose is still unclear, but the footage of its final moments is intriguing. In 2011, a large sailing ship called Alexander von Humboldt was struck by a fishing boat named Andrea. The weather was clear, and visibility was good, as seen in the video. Despite this, the fishing boat continued to head straight for the larger vessel at full speed. The sailing ship repeatedly sounded its siren and tried to contact the fishing boat via VHF radio, but got no response, making a collision inevitable. Luckily, no one on either ship was hurt. GoPro footage shows a Mexican Navy warship sinking into the ocean, marking a tranquil conclusion to its years of active military service. The vessel, named AMR Uribe, was an offshore patrol boat that started service in 1982. It was a multi-purpose craft with twin funnels and a helicopter deck, designed for coastal defense, border protection, immigration control, and search and rescue missions. Because of their size, these types of ships are relatively cheap to produce and are among the most common warships worldwide. After years of service, old warships like this usually end up being scrapped. However, the Uribe had a different fate. It was intentionally sunk off the coast of Rosarito, Mexico, to establish the first artificial reef in Baja California, known as the Rosarito Underwater Park. In this way, the Uribe continues to serve, now contributing to marine life and underwater exploration from a new perspective. Here we have a container ship crash into a bridge, get stuck, and then embarrassingly drop some of its containers into the river. It was quite the spectacle. The ship remained lodged in the bridge for the rest of the day as they tried to salvage its wet cargo, free it, and get it moving again. How it managed to hit a very noticeable red bridge is a mystery, but it likely involves some miscalculations. Those tricky numbers can really cause trouble. Even if you've never visited a Four Seasons, you probably know it's a high-quality place where people go to relax and have a good time, assuming the hotel is actually finished. But this particular one, located in East Maputo, didn't quite make it. It stood incomplete for over 3 decades with its 25 floors never finished, which is pretty ironic. The main reason for this was its location in Mozambique, which was going through major changes after gaining independence. These changes halted construction and despite several attempts to revive the project over the years, all efforts failed until the building was eventually demolished. For many, it was probably a relief to see what was likely an eyesore finally removed. Now, let's talk about what happened in India in 2020. The Supreme Court ordered the demolition of some skyscrapers in Kerala because they violated environmental rules designed to protect coastal areas. Essentially, these buildings were harmful to the environment and had to be removed. It's strange that these skyscrapers were allowed to be built so far before action was taken. It's also sad for the families who lost their homes because of this decision. And once again, the demolition itself was quite a spectacle. It was supposed to be a normal day for the port workers in Beveren, Belgium, but unexpected weather disrupted everything. Although the container ship arrived and docked on time, strong winds caused the mooring rope to loosen. This made the ship drift and hit a port crane. The crane, which was 140 feet tall, fell down like a house of cards. Fortunately, the ship only had minor damage. In the province of Cebu in the Philippines, a ship was unloading passengers and cargo. During this process, they tried to offload a large truck, but it broke down due to a transmission issue and couldn't move. This caused the ship to lean heavily on one side and eventually tip over.
Oh my God! Talatabang yung bata! Ala, 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 ala! Ala, bata! Oh my God!
The Coast Guard managed to rescue all 149 passengers, and only 11 had minor injuries. 4 other vehicles went down with the ship. It seems like it would have made more sense to evacuate the people before removing the cargo. Back in 2020, when we were all stuck at home with not much to do but browse the internet and make impulsive online purchases, a small incident in one of the world's key shipping routes caused a big mess. Suddenly, you couldn't buy a lawn chair no matter how hard you tried for months. This massive inconvenience affected many who just wanted to relax in their gardens. What actually happened was in the Suez Canal, where a shipping container got stuck diagonally across the entire canal. This must have been quite embarrassing. The ship, named the Ever Given, was a 1,300-foot-long container ship that ran aground due to high winds and poor visibility from a sandstorm. It took a lot of teams and effort to get the ship floating again. The resulting traffic jam in the Red Sea led to worldwide shipping delays for months. This incident really showed how delicate our supply chain is, and how dependent we are on a few narrow shipping routes to keep things moving. But really, we can survive without a sun lounger, right? In September 2019, a Hyundai-owned ship carrying over 4,200 cars caught fire off the coast of Georgia, USA. The ship began to tip and eventually capsized. Initially, all 24 crew members were missing, but they were later rescued. The ship is still in the same spot, but there are plans to dismantle it by cutting it into pieces and removing it from the water. The cars are still on board, and efforts will be made to see if any can be salvaged. When something costs a lot and a lot of money is spent on it, it's really embarrassing when it doesn't work out, though it can be pretty funny for everyone else. Take this luxury leisure boat in Gansu Province, China, for example. It was a big deal and cost over $2.5 million to build, so it was definitely not just any ordinary boat. But in 2011, when it was launched, things didn't go as planned. Although we don't have all the details, it's clear that the boat encountered problems and ended up partially underwater. When you spend that much money, people start asking questions, and it becomes a big issue. Hopefully, no one got into too much trouble over this. Sometimes things just don't go your way. When you're steering a 130-foot-tall galleon, you need to stay alert because you're handling a huge boat. Imagine it's a Sunday morning in Newport Harbor, Rhode Island, and you're still a bit groggy from the night before, not fully focusing on steering. This can happen to anyone, but when it does, your large ship could easily cause trouble. If you're not careful, you might end up causing a crash involving multiple boats, which would be expensive and damaging to your impressive ship. The ship involved was the SSV Oliver Hazard Perry, which ran into trouble because of windy conditions, some issues with a rope, engine problems, and generally not paying enough attention. It seemed like there was a fight for the best parking spot near the clubhouse, or maybe it was just a petty argument over someone's choice of deck shoes. Situations like this can escalate quickly when there's not enough space for everyone. Back in spring 2019, there was a funny boat launching mishap at Black Point Marina in Miami that turned into a spectacle. Basically, a group of clueless people tried to launch their boat without a clear plan. Everything they tried just made things worse, and even the seagulls seemed to find it amusing. First, they put the small boat on a flatbed tow truck and tried to launch it directly into the water from there, which was not a smart move. The back of the boat was pushed down into the water, causing it to start filling up. Then, someone jumped on board to try and steer it, but that only made the boat lean to one side and take on more water. The boat kept slowly sinking while someone futilely tried to scoop out water with a bucket. To make matters worse, a party boat came by, playing loud music, adding to the chaotic scene. In the end, the sorry-looking boat was pulled out of the water and everyone just went home. It was quite a scene, but not the kind of fun they had hoped for. Fortunately, there were no injuries. In 2019, a ship launch didn't go as planned in a Dutch shipyard at the port of Hugezand. The ship, named Scott Explorer, ended up crashing into the concrete wall of the quay instead of smoothly entering the water. This happened because the ropes used to lower the ship towards the water broke. Clearly, there was a miscalculation involving the strength needed for the ropes and pulley system. When the rope at the back of the ship snapped, the ship crashed hard into the quay. This collision damaged the ship's paint, and the wall itself also took a beating. Here we go again, with another big mistake during the docking of a huge container ship, and this time, it caused a lot of damage. The ship was trying to dock at the port of Santos in Brazil when it crashed into the docking area, destroying everything in its path. This crash was so severe that they had to stop port operations for a while to figure out what went wrong and clean up the mess. This also led to a big backup in the shipping lane, similar to a traffic jam at an airport. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the ship ended up with a lot of damage, including a breached hull and leaking ballast water. The dock itself was also badly damaged, more than just a few dents. It was severely beaten up by the collision. On June 16, 2018, the well-known cooling towers at the St. Johns River Power Park in Jacksonville were demolished.
We've got 1,500 pounds of dynamite going in the holes, and it's a pretty simple task when you've got good people on your team.
This event was part of the shutdown process for the coal-fired power plant, jointly owned by GA and Florida Power and Light. The plant had been running since the 1980s, but closed on January 5, 2018, as part of an initiative to cut the utility's carbon emissions by about 30%. The demolition of the 464-foot tall towers used 1,500 pounds of dynamite and 12,000 linear feet of detonation cord, taking only 12 seconds to turn the towers into rubble.
It'll be somewhat loud and exciting, Hollywood-like.
All of this will happen in a matter of what? How many seconds?
I estimate 12 seconds.
The event was emotionally mixed for the plant's longtime employees. On November 27, 2013, a crane collapsed at the Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, which was being prepared as a venue for the 2014 FIFA World Cup. This accident killed 2 workers and caused major damage to the stadium. At the time, the crane was moving a large piece of roofing and fell over onto the structure of the stadium. Investigators considered several possible causes, including the wet ground from recent rains, possibly failing under the crane's weight, human error, and mechanical problems with the crane. It was also noted that the crane operator had been working for 18 straight days, prompting concerns about the effects of fatigue. The Corinthians Arena, also known as Arena de São Paulo, was scheduled to host the opening match of the World Cup. The collapse led to delays in construction and sparked significant concerns about safety practices at the site. A roof at a Chevron gas station in Torrance, at the corner of Prairie Avenue and Artesia Boulevard, collapsed while 2 workers were on it, doing some work directly over the station. Security cameras recorded the moment one worker fell with the collapsing roof while the other was on a stable section. An onlooker named Giselle, who works nearby, witnessed the incident and was worried about the safety of the workers, especially the one who fell with the roof.
I thought it was an earthquake, and I just thought, these 2 guys were up there. I didn't know if one of them had been crushed under the roof or fell with the roof.
Surprisingly, the worker who fell was only scratched and walked away from the incident. Underneath the roof, 2 cars were parked. One was crushed by the debris. Luckily, the owner of that car was inside the store at the time and wasn't injured. This person was indeed very fortunate. On March 24, 2019, 3 chimneys standing 350 feet tall at the Brayton Point Power Station in Somerset, Massachusetts, were demolished. This was part of the process to decommission the coal-fired power plant. The demolition was performed by Controlled Demolition, Inc., CDI, under contract with Brayton Point LLC. The implosion of these chimneys marked an important step in repurposing the site for renewable energy initiatives. Local residents, including those from nearby towns like Westport and Portsmouth, could hear the demolition.
They just came down slowly and methodically, and then we watched it off for a couple of minutes because after seeing them there forever.
The event left a lasting impression on the Viana family, who have lived next to Brayton Point Beach for 52 years, describing it as methodical and awe-inspiring.
My grandfather and a lot of grandfathers built the stacks that we just brought down today. So it's been giving people a way of life and living for decades. So it's difficult for them. It'll be different.
You heard the big bang. It was thick, brownish smoke. It was horrible. I got to the end of the road up there, I turned around, couldn't even see these houses anymore. It was that bad. And actually my best friend lives in the high-rise in Fall River, and she said she could smell it right after. The big towers, I'm a little nervous for.
The demolition drew attention from locals, some of whom were several miles away, but still reported hearing the implosion. In September 1992, Hurricane Iniki, one of the strongest hurricanes to ever strike the Hawaiian Islands, particularly devastated Kauai. Rick Harder, who lived across the street and is Sarabia's brother-in-law, captured the event's impact on Sarabia's home. From a gap in the plywood used to shield his windows, Harder noticed alarming signs that Sarabia's roof was beginning to collapse.
Things were flying by that were amazing. Metal roofs, corrugated roofs were like flying guillotines.
He urgently shouted to Sarabia, warning that his roof was failing as the eaves, detached from their posts, flapped violently in the wind. Realizing the danger, Sarabia, along with others in the house, quickly moved to a safer location downstairs, knowing that the roof's collapse was imminent. Inside, the house trembled and shifted under the hurricane's powerful winds, intensifying the occupants' sense of vulnerability.
Oh no. Johnny, you're losing your roof.
The eaves had separated from the posts and they were flopping in the wind. So we ran downstairs pretty quickly because we knew that it was just a matter of time before the whole thing went.
We were all upstairs going, this is not looking too great.
Eventually, in a dramatic escalation, the roof shook violently and was completely torn off by the storm, exposing those inside to the elements.
Oh my God. Your roof is safe!
Neighbors looked on in horror as the home lost its only protection against the raging hurricane, drastically increasing the danger for those inside. The destruction from Hurricane Iniki was vast, destroying approximately 1,400 homes and damaging over 5,000 others. The total damage was estimated at $1.8 billion, making it the costliest hurricane in Hawaiian history. On January 21, 2017, a significant demolition event occurred in Wuhan, Hubei Province, China, where 19 buildings in the downtown area were simultaneously demolished using 5 tons of explosives. The entire process took just 10 seconds to complete. This demolition was part of an urban redevelopment project to make room for a new business district, which will include a 707-meter-tall skyscraper. The demolition site was close to critical infrastructure such as a light rail viaduct, residential areas, a shopping mall, and a transformer substation. To ensure safety and precision, the demolition team installed over 120,000 protective screens and meticulously timed the explosions to the millisecond.
这么大规模的爆破在城市中心区实施爆破除了要保证它的导弹效果之外，还要对爆破所产生的有害效应进行严格的控制。 它倒塌的这个效果是非常的这个理想。那么同时对周边的影响周边有轻轨有一些市政的设施都无疑受到损坏这个对周边没有造成任何的这个影响。
This detailed planning led to a flawless demolition, with no damage to nearby structures or public facilities. The MTU-8V396 is a high-performance diesel engine widely used in marine, rail, and industrial settings. When operated within its design specifications, this engine is known for its power and reliability. However, as demonstrated in the video, overloading or pushing the engine beyond these limits can lead to mechanical failures. While such issues are uncommon, manufacturing defects can occasionally occur. These defects may result from quality control lapses during production, leading to the use of substandard or flawed components in the engine. On January 22, 2017, a 19-story abandoned building in Changsha City, Hunan Province, China, was demolished using 5 tons of explosives, successfully bringing the 68-meter-tall structure down in less than 10 seconds. This demolition was part of a redevelopment plan aimed at making way for new projects, including a business district and possibly a skyscraper. To ensure a controlled and precise collapse, explosives were strategically placed at around 120,000 points within the building. This meticulous preparation was intended to minimize any disturbance to nearby areas, such as residential communities, a shopping mall, and a light rail viaduct. The careful execution of this demolition reflects significant advancements in engineering and safety, demonstrating the capability to carry out large-scale urban demolitions safely without harming surrounding structures. The Houston main building, initially known as the Prudential Building, was imploded on January 8, 2012. Built in 1952, this 20-story structure originally served as the Southwest Regional Headquarters for Prudential Insurance Company. In the mid-1970s, it was acquired by the University of Texas System and utilized by the MD Anderson Cancer Center for several decades. The decision to demolish the building was part of a broader initiative to clear space for new developments in the Texas Medical Center area. Controlled demolition techniques were employed to bring the building down quickly, turning it into rubble within seconds. This demolition marked the end of an era for a building that had played a notable role in Houston's architectural history. The former Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, was successfully demolished on February 17, 2021. The 39-story building, which originally opened in 1984 and closed in 2014, was imploded due to safety concerns related to its deteriorating condition. The demolition marked the end of an era for the once iconic structure, which had fallen into disrepair over the years. The implosion was a significant event for Atlantic City, with many spectators watching as the building was reduced to rubble in seconds. A collision between 2 boats on the Huangpu River in China led to one of the vessels crashing into the riverbank, damaging some railings there. A reporter from Shanghai Daily noted that the damaged area was cordoned off, but the rest of the waterfront was still accessible, attracting many onlookers taking photos. Following the incident, the authorities sent 2 patrol vessels to the area. Fortunately, no one was injured, either on the boat or on shore. The boat involved was carrying sand, and despite damage to its front, it could still navigate. This boat was escorted to the suburban Minhang district, while the other boat involved headed to the Yangpu district and docked there. The cause of the collision is still under investigation, and officials are working to prevent similar incidents in the future. This situation underscores the need for quick and effective responses to minimize damage and ensure safety, although it's acknowledged that not all accidents can be anticipated, suggesting perhaps more safety measures like an emergency brake could be considered in the future. On January 4th, a security camera in East China captured the collapse of a gas station roof due to snow buildup. The region was experiencing its worst snowstorm since 2008, which caused significant damage and led to the deaths of 13 people in Anhui province. Fortunately, no one was injured in the gas station incident. The collapse is under investigation as local authorities assess the situation and the impact of the severe weather conditions. Whilst the Extreme Racing Series was entertaining the crowds at the Aberdeen Asset Management Cows Week, a supertanker named Marine Knutsen collided with a yacht. The incident occurred while the supertanker, guided by a pilot boat, was entering Southampton docks. Despite repeatedly sounding its horn, the yacht did not move clear in time. The yacht was hit, and its mast and rigging were torn off when its spinnaker sail got caught on the supertanker's anchor.
Because they're racing, they're right on we're going to shift going across the race course. Not this race course, but extraordinary backdrop this to the Extreme Sailing Series at the top mark. There's one Extreme for Austria a second. As we look through a sea of sails, as we remember the rock stars. We're going to start skiing again.
I don't think so. It didn't work the last time, so that's their advantage. Stay where they are.
Look out to the front of that orange ship. It's this mast in that yacht. The spinnaker is on the front of that orange ship.
And it's just two laps of this race. So right now, Grenoble and Rockstars followed by Red Bull Extreme. Then it's looking like a Lingy from Switzerland coming down next. They may be our three top spots in this race. Still plenty of boats to go around the top mark though.
Well, Grenoble and Rockstars now heading down towards the finish. This will be the first race win here in Cows for the French team. Good start. Top mark battle with Red Bull Extreme. They crept around the top mark, they led, and they've extended as they head down towards the finish. And on this final leg, clear air away from everyone else, the French team.
Fortunately, no injuries were reported, but the incident highlighted the need for vigilance and caution in crowded waterways. On February 6, 2023, a catastrophic magnitude 7.8 earthquake hit southern and central Turkey and northern Syria, with the epicenter near Gaziantep, Turkey. A severe aftershock of magnitude 7.7 occurred 9 hours later near Kahramanmaraş. These earthquakes devastated a wide area, impacting approximately 350,000 square kilometers and affecting around 14 million people. During rescue operations, a building unexpectedly collapsed, causing panic and forcing rescuers and locals to flee under a cloud of dust. Footage from another location showed people escaping a building just moments before it too collapsed.
Aşağı yığıldı. Arama kurtarma çalışması yapan ekipler de bu noktada. Evet, bina yıkılıyor şu anda. Bir bina daha yıkıldı. Evet, yan tarafında. Arama kurtarma ekipleri de o noktadan şimdi uzaklaşıyorlar. Bina alıyorlar. Düşmemeleri için ekipler bölgeyi boşaltıyor. Şu anda o yeni bina için çöken.
The rescue and relief efforts face severe challenges due to damaged infrastructure, harsh winter weather, and disruptions in communication. These earthquakes were among the deadliest in Turkey's recent history and exposed significant weaknesses in the region's infrastructure. This situation was further complicated by the ongoing conflict in Syria and the presence of a large number of refugees in the area. On July 23, 2018, The 13-story Marlboro House building at 5775 Collins Avenue in Miami Beach collapsed during a planned demolition. The building had been vacant and was being demolished to make way for a new development. Unfortunately, the collapse injured a project manager named Samuel Landis, who later died from his injuries. The demolition was intended to be conventional, not an implosion, and the incident led to a criminal investigation by the Miami Beach Police Department. Hurricane Ida, which hit in August 2021, caused extensive damage across several states, with significant flooding in the Northeast. As Ida's remnants moved north, they brought heavy rain that caused intense flash flooding in states like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. There's a striking video of someone walking through ankle-deep water in their family's basement in Cranford when suddenly the wall collapses and water rushes in. Fortunately, the family was not seriously hurt. The severe flooding from Ida served as a reminder of the growing frequency and severity of extreme weather, likely worsened by climate change. It underscored the urgent need for better infrastructure and emergency planning. On a Saturday morning, the ceiling in the Clark family's apartment at Douglas Park Apartments unexpectedly fell in, ruining their home and possessions and leaving them without a place to live. The family, which includes 2 young children, one being a 10-month-old daughter, had to stay in their car for a while as they figured out where to live next. They were relieved that no one was hurt, particularly their daughter Riley, who was not in the room at the time of the collapse.
I was actually panicking and I didn't know I was handling it, so it's pretty crazy.
To have your little one asking you, like, are we going to have somewhere to sleep tonight, you know, and you don't know. It's not a situation that I ever expected us to be in.
They hoped that no other family would have to go through such an ordeal. The management of the apartment complex didn't give a public statement or agree to speak on camera when reached out to. They did tell the Clark family to clear out their belongings so that repairs could be made.
We had told them before multiple times on multiple occasions about water pressure issues and
leaks in that building.
And leaks in the building, and they told us they were going to fix it, they were going to get on it, and they never did.
We definitely don't want any other family or anyone to ever be in this type of situation of being out of everything and a place to live. It's really heartbreaking.
Although the management agreed to pay for the family's hotel stay over the weekend, they did not offer any long-term housing solution. In April 2017, a crane accident occurred in Minnesota when a crane dropped a hot tub and pool, crushing a house. The crane was lifting the pool over the house when it tipped over, causing the load to fall and destroy the home. Fortunately, no one was injured in the incident. The mishap was attributed to the crane being unable to handle the heavy load, leading to the dramatic collapse. The Sea Eagle, a ship in Turkey, capsized while a port lift truck was unloading containers, which then fell into the sea. A video captured the ship tipping over as people nearby quickly moved away after hearing a whistling sound. The ship sank rapidly, leaving the crew and workers unloading it in shock. Fortunately, all crew members were evacuated safely, and no injuries were reported. The ship had stability issues that efforts to correct failed to resolve. The government is now investigating what caused the accident. In the meantime, there are ongoing efforts to remove the ship's fuel and recover the containers from the sea. While it's a serious situation, it's somewhat lighter to think of the containers as taking a brief vacation in the water. Hopefully, the recovery operation will proceed smoothly and the ship will be set upright soon. In the busy shipping lanes of the Singapore Strait, a collision occurred between the Turkish bulk carrier Bex Halil and a smaller Vietnamese cargo vessel. The incident unfolded as both ships were navigating one of the world's most congested maritime routes. The The Bex Halil, a 57,000-ton ship leaving Singapore, encountered the smaller vessel unexpectedly veering to its left, directly across its path. Unable to stop or change course, the smaller vessel was struck on its left side towards the rear.
Lo chupó, le va a pegar. Le chupó la copa. Sí, le va a pegar, lo estoy grabando. Le va a pegar.
The collision was recorded by crew members from another ship nearby, capturing the smaller vessel's sudden maneuver and the impact that followed.
Puta, y ese viene vuelto madres, cabrón. Lo chupó. Se lo va a llevar, Miguel, se lo va a llevar. Oh, la madre. Oh, su madre. Hey, Chris.
The Singaporean Coast Guard was promptly called to the scene to rescue the crew of the sinking smaller vessel. Fortunately, despite the serious nature of the collision, no casualties were reported, thanks to the swift and effective response of the Coast Guard, ensuring all crew members were safely evacuated. In 2002, the chimney at the Tierbach power plant in Germany, which stood at 300 meters tall, was strategically demolished. The event took place with spectators watching from the B95 highway, which was temporarily closed to ensure public safety. Located in Saxony, the Tierbach power plant was a lignite-fired facility that had been decommissioned. The chimney, being one of the tallest structures in the area, made its demolition a notable event that marked the end of the power plant's operational life. The demolition was meticulously planned and carried out, with special attention to controlling the implosion to reduce dust and debris, thereby protecting the safety of the surrounding environment. In 2022, the Eggborough Power Station in North Yorkshire, England, underwent a series of controlled demolitions as part of its decommissioning. The power station had been shut down in 2018, and its large structures were progressively demolished to clear the area for new development. On June 1st, 2022, the demolition team brought down the 5,000-ton DA Bay structure. This operation required precise explosive techniques and took place within a 350-meter exclusion zone to ensure safety. There was extensive coordination with local authorities to ensure utilities remained uninterrupted and the public was safe during the demolition. On July 24, 2022, the final demolition occurred, targeting the remaining significant structures, including the 50,000-ton boiler house and the 200-meter-tall chimney. This final blowdown marked the end of the major structures at the power station, clearing the way to redevelop the site into industrial warehouses. These demolitions were complex engineering tasks that required detailed planning and careful execution to safely and efficiently dismantle the massive constructions. In 2016, the Harmony of the Seas, which was the world's largest cruise liner at the time, experienced a mishap while trying to dock at the port of Falmouth in Jamaica. As the ship was approaching the berth, it collided with the dock, causing noticeable damage to both the ship and the pier. Despite the slow speed of the ship during its approach, the collision happened, suggesting there might have been a navigation error or mechanical issue, though the exact cause wasn't clear. Reports also noted that strong winds up to 45 miles per hour were present at the time, which may have contributed to the difficulty in docking. Fortunately, no one on board was injured. The impact resulted in significant but mainly cosmetic damage to the ship's hull and the pier, including dents and scratches to the paint. On November 27, 2020, a significant demolition took place in Abu Dhabi with the controlled implosion of the Mina Plaza Towers. This demolition involved 4 towers, each 165 meters tall, adding up to a total of 144 floors. It was part of the larger redevelopment efforts for the Mina Zayed area, and it set a Guinness World Record for the tallest building demolished using explosives. About 6,000 kilograms of explosives were used, strategically placed in 18,000 drill holes across the structures. The entire process took only 10 seconds, significantly altering Abu Dhabi's skyline. This demolition is a step in transforming the Mina Zayed port area into a key tourist and business hub, aiming to boost trade and investment while maintaining the cultural heritage of Abu Dhabi. In 2004, during a ship launch in Leer, Germany, a surprising incident occurred that caught the attention of many. As a large vessel was released into the water, it generated an unexpectedly large wave that headed towards the spectators and the nearby shoreline. The wave's strength took everyone by surprise, causing a bit of panic as people rushed to avoid getting wet or knocked over. This event highlighted the unpredictable nature and sheer power of ship launches, even in controlled settings. Despite careful planning, variables like the ship's size, weight, and the way it displaces water can lead to unexpected results. This particular wave reminded everyone of the need for stricter safety and crowd control measures during such events. The Brayton Point Power Station cooling towers in Somerset, Massachusetts, were demolished on April 27, 2019. The towers, each standing 500 feet tall, were brought down using controlled explosives in a matter of seconds.
Can you guys see okay? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Here goes.
Slow motion. What happened to the
And no
alarm?
warning. I just pushed the button too, and I just missed the beginning. I'm so lucky that I got it. Just pushed it when they were doing it.
This event marked a significant step in transitioning the former coal-fired power plant site towards future redevelopment aimed at supporting renewable energy initiatives. The implosion was part of efforts to clear the area for new uses, symbolizing the shift from coal to cleaner energy sources. On March 22, 1986, the tugboat Sakota had just finished transferring a crew member to the submarine USS Georgia when it lost power and collided with the submarine's rear. The tugboat got caught on the submarine's propeller and sank quickly. The collision caused the Sakota to lose power, making it impossible for the crew to steer away. Meanwhile, the USS Georgia, not realizing the Sakota had lost power, continued moving, making the situation worse. Despite attempts to save everyone, 2 crew members trapped in the tug's engine room drowned. 10 others, including the crew member who had just been transferred from the USS Georgia, were rescued.
Get off, you're on the stern plate! Come on, put a belt. Turn it to
The incident revealed several safety and procedural mistakes, like not securing watertight doors and not responding properly to the tug's power loss. The USS Georgia suffered minor damage and needed emergency repairs after returning the rescued crew to Hawaii. On April 27, 1998, Controlled Demolition, Inc., CDI, from Phoenix, Maryland, and LVI Environmental of Nevada, Inc. from Las Vegas, worked together to bring down a 247-foot, 21-story hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. The implosion, which happened at 7:30 p.m., was meticulously planned to ensure safety and precision. This event was part of a larger trend in Las Vegas during the late 1990s and early 2000s, where older hotels and casinos were demolished to clear space for newer constructions. The collaboration between CDI and LVI Environmental showcased their expertise in managing complex demolitions, ensuring a smooth process and minimal disturbance to the surrounding area. On August 1, 2021, 4 large cooling towers at the former Eggborough Power Station in North Yorkshire were brought down through a controlled explosion. The power station had been a key feature of the region for over 50 years before its demolition. This demolition was part of a plan to redevelop the site after its decommissioning in 2018. DSM Demolition carried out the demolition, taking great care to ensure safety. The 300-foot-high towers, made of around 11,000 tons of reinforced concrete each, were demolished within a 350-meter exclusion zone to safeguard the public and nearby infrastructure. The area is now being prepped for a mixed-use regeneration project led by St. Francis Group and Marshall Commercial Development Projects, which aims to boost economic opportunities in the region. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated with our latest videos.